Okay, in this video, which is, I don't know, 32 or 33, 32, I think, uh, we're going to go over, let me just double check. 32, yeah. We're going to wrap up the video sharing. Implementing it was a little more involved than I thought. There's quite a bit going on with YouTube. And sharing, I guess, is pretty popular these days. It's a pretty versatile thing. So we work on the embed feature. It's just an iframe, but there's quite a bit that goes into it. One thing I did notice was that YouTube lets you use a query string and get to a certain time in the video. So at the end of our URL, put a question mark and then like a key or a property name, time equals, and then a value. And so let's put a value in seconds. Let's say we want a minute and 30 seconds. So that's 90 seconds. So we want it to run and start our video at a minute 30 by default, just like that. But we also want it to work normally and just load our video from scratch. So essentially, in that time parameters there, we want it to figure in. And we also want to reflect that in our share feature. Because someone might want to share a certain segment, say that video is 2 hours long, they might want to share something, an hour into it. So, query param, the name time equals, we'll say 3 minutes and 10 seconds. So what's that? 190? Boom. 3 minutes and 10 seconds is where our video is going to start. We also want to reflect that in our share. So when you click share, we've added a specific time with a checkbox and a text field. Now, if you don't want to share a specific time, this won't copy a specific time. But say you do want to share a specific time, check the box. There's your text field with the 310. And now time equals 190. But maybe it's not 310. Maybe it's, I don't know, maybe it's 5:45. Okay. So we want the link to switch. When it's 5:45, we want this URL to reflect that. Okay, so it does 3:45. It changes. We don't want it. We don't want it to have this anymore. Changes again. And on our embed, we can't embed a specific time. We don't have that functionality capability at this point because we're not embedding our website. We're just embedding the video. So for this, we're actually sending in the link to our AWS bucket. We're not sending the link to our app. And we're using what YouTube uses, 560 by 315, frame border equals 0, and allow full screen in iframe. That's the best we can do right now. We don't have any way of assigning a time to our AWS path here that I know of. You may want to look into Cloudinary. It's a different service that lets you store files, video, and images, and it looks like it has a lot more built-in kind of video functionality and image functionality than AWS does, to my knowledge. You can do different kinds of editing based on different params and stuff like that with Cloudinary, but I haven't looked into it too much. But for what we're working with, we've got a pretty good setup. So how do we implement this? First, I want you to install a couple packages, and the packages are Moment, and the other one is called Query String. So you're going to want to cd into the client directory. I've already installed these, but you'd want to cd into your client directory and run npm install -save -S moment and query string. Now, moment, we're going to go into our utils index, and you're going to import moment from moment, and we're going to add 2 utility functions. And these are the utility functions right now. One's reverse format, and that's just using vanilla JavaScript. And format time is using moment here. So we're having people enter in this format where it's with the colons. You can even do up to hour, :minute, :second. But we need to convert that into straight seconds, and vice versa. So the format time converts it to hours, minutes, seconds, and this converts that hours, minutes, seconds back to just plain seconds. And I came up with these. You can find a better way to do it out there, or an alternative method. Feel free to use it. But these work well for our scenarios. So we create this whole new second modal here, and this is in our components. We're calling it embed modal. The code's up on GitHub. This is the implementation. Pretty similar to our other modal, except that our text field is going to contain this template string with the URL and our onCopy. And it's good to note that we did the same thing with our onCopy as we did with our like and dislike, because we're using the same onCopy method to work with both the link text and the iframe text. So we just did bind on it as when we pass it through, and you'll notice we added a new embed modal. We import that in from our embed modal we just created, put a key on it, set up a new piece of state in our video component that tracks it, and all the methods that go along with opening and closing it. And then for both onCopies, we bind this, and for the embed modal, we bind embed, and for the share modal, we bind share. And of course, we had to come up with state that tracks checked and add a checkbox into our share modal. And of course, we're keeping the current time as a string as part of our state, as well as the current time. So there's quite a bit. You're going to want to go over all the code. And for a matter of time, I can't go over all of it in this single video. But if you look at all the code up on GitHub, you'll find it all. See, we have current time as seconds and our current time string and checked. And we're doing the same thing with our snack bar. I just made the snack bar generic, and I'm using the same snack bar for both things. I just said copy to clipboard, and I fire off the same snack bar just for simplicity. I didn't want to have to create 2 and make it more complicated than it needs to be. Use the same snack bar and the methods that go with it in both modals. And what it boils down to is, in this modal, this is where we bring in our reverse format, because we're basically going off that checked prop, which is the state.check of the checkbox. If it's checked, we just render the link. If not, we use that reverse format on our current time string.